I am Dr. Kanwal Khalid, and as you all know, this is the festive month of Ramadan that has been celebrated in every part of the world among the Muslims. If I go through my childhood memories, I've got some very fond memories. When my mother used to to welcome this month, she would make lots of preparations, and I felt as if there are some special guests coming to our place, and that is why the house was cleaned and the food was prepared. But surprisingly and very pleasantly surprised that this all food and festivity was for us. So yes, this month has always been extremely special in our society, and along with the festivity and the concept of jubilation, there were lots of prayers, ibadat involved, and that was also an integral part. And I could see my mother reciting Quran whenever she had the free time, and her salat was always there, and that has been prioritized by her for herself and for us as well. But another thing that I noticed since my childhood, that no matter what you did, but this was the month when the expenses definitely increased because of the food that has been consumed, and later on some other activities and all that. And at that point, I realized the concept of zakat is so beautiful and so effective, because you see, most of the households in the beginning of the month of Ramadan, we all give away zakat to the deserving people. As a result to that, we come up with two very definitive elements. One, that if I have given a zakat, I feel very satisfied and happy that I have done my duty. So now I can enjoy whatever wealth or resources I have without being feeling guilty. On the other hand, if I look at the people who are given this zakat, they're also celebrating Ramzan. So this extra money that they are getting, it will add to their festivity and their happiness. So these are the simple concepts of Islam that I really admire, and that tells me this is the religion of logic and reasoning. So next time when you give away Ramazan, please keep this in your mind, that this is a very special thing to do. And once you are done with that, then we have the permission from Allah to celebrate, enjoy with our family and with our friends and with our relatives. And of course, integral part of Ramzan is ibadat. And when I was studying about Ramazan and ibadat, I came across a wonderful memory of Babur in Babur Nama. And he writes that in most of my life, I had never ever celebrated Ramadan in one region or one area. Every year there was a different location waiting for me. I mean, the simple logic is that almost all his life he had been into different conquests, so he was never properly placed in one location. But then in 1526, when he conquered an important part of India, then he celebrated his Ramazan in Agra. But to carry on with the tradition, next year he was in Sikri, and he gives a detail about his Ramazan in Sikri, and he writes that I am most of the time in the position of abolition, and he said that I enjoy this Travi a lot. And he also writes that there is a particular garden, Baghe Zafar is the name of the garden, and this is the garden of victory. And he said that he had a beautiful stone platform constructed there, and this garden is literally a corner, looks like a corner of heaven, with beautiful trees and the shrubs and the flowers all around me. And this is where I recite my Travi. And he said that I feel as if I am in heaven and praising to my Allah. So this is what has been written by Baba, and the other rulers also followed the same tradition, and they carried on a legacy that had been in Islam for hundreds of years. But part of that legacy is our Sehri and Aftari. When we talk about the Sahur, it, it comes the food part, which is a very important part of the Ramazan. And it has been written that Sehri was comparatively a very simple meal with plain bread, roti, and some vegetables or some lentils and maybe some curd. And then they would like to have a khichdi. Khichdi is a rice with lentils and curd. The thing is that these are very simple foods that they used to enjoy. But after the sunset, when it came the time of Aftar, that's a totally different story, because that is the time when the all the formalities were put together on the dastakhan, and there were gatherings and there were people sitting together, and they were having food lavish according to their status. And if we look at the food of that time period, meat dishes, of course, Muslims, they love meat, and that was also an integral part of that. And we come across the meats of goats, sheep, deer. These were the routine meats available, and sometimes even the camels were added. And then they had the kebabs. The kebabs were usually made of bird meat. That was their favorite thing. And when they talk about kebab, there is a very important kebab made in our houses, which is called shami kebab. And I was surprised to see that one of the writers write that this was a dish brought from Syria. Syria in Urdu language is called Sham. So the people, the cook who were invited from Syria, they brought this dish, and with reference to that, this particular kebab is named after Shami kebab. Wallah alam, but this looks very interesting. And another important part of the Aftar Dastakhan is drinks. And drinks, they would say the Sharbat Kand, sweet beverage, that was added with kyora, mushk, mushkebad, and saffron. These were the flavors added to that. And the Mughals also introduced a very interesting beverage that has been named in those times Roo Afza. Now, this Roo Afza was heavily laced with Arke Gulab. Arke Gulab, as we all know, was the discovery or made by Noor Jahan's mother, Ismat Begum. But now that Arke Gulab was added into Sharbat Kant, and we come across the name Roo Afza, and it was very popular in those days, and even now commercially it has been used by a local beverage making company. And this again, this drink is extremely popular in the subcontinent and in the Middle East. But what is the similarity of the flavor, that I do not know, but the name is still there. Muslims introduced many other drinks also, the sherbets, such as Sharbat Anar, which is pomegranate, which and the Bedana, yeah, Bedana, I was talking. Bedana was basically a seedless fruit, any fruit, and then it was used for the sherbet or the drink, and they had grapes, pomegranate, mulberry, and saffron. This was a very favorite flavors that was used. And but the majority of the Muslim food that we see here, that we are using today, it was introduced by the Mughals. And when I talk about that, one of the first things that I came across were the fritters, Pakoray. We have been blamed all the time that we Muslims, especially of Pakistan and India, we love to eat fritters. But what to do? They have been there for centuries. And of course, the onions and the potatoes and the vegetables were used for that. So, my dear, whenever you eat fritters, pakora next time, don't feel guilty. It's been part of our tradition for hundreds of years. And another part of our tradition was samosay. Can you imagine? Yes. Samosas were also introduced by the Mughals. What they used to do was that they would add minced meat or vegetable, and they added almonds, nutmeg, pistachio, onion, and spices. and then it was wrapped with a thin, flawed uh, uh, like material, and it was then fried, and that is how they were being presented. And then they had meaty samosa, the sweet samosas, and they were made of flour kneaded in shakkar ras, and the juice, or a sweet juice of any kind of vegetable or fruit, but they were stuffed with dry fruits or the paste of dates. That's interesting. And that is how they were presented to everyone, either four, five, or six. So that was the serving portion of samosas. And then a very interesting dish that was initially very popular among the not, very rich people, and that was called Phalori Pakori. Now, Phalori Pakori was originally meant for the, for the ordinary people, and Phalori Pakori was basically the grounded grounded chickpeas, and they were, turned into small, you can say, round pieces, and it was fried in oil, and that was called gulgule. The gulgule, they were very popular, and then they were added with masale and potatoes and onions, and it was served, and this became so popular that eventually it became an integral part of Aftar cuisine, regardless of the status, and it was part of the Mughal king's cuisine, and it was definitely part of an ordinary man's Aftar dastarkhan. And later on, of course, almonds and dry fruits were added to it. And today, when we add curd to it, we call it dahi bhalle. Your and my favorite dahi bhalle. So this has been there for the centuries. And again, the sweet. How can we forget the sweet? Muslims and the Indians, and we all love sweet. Firni was the one that was very popular during Ramadan, and we see that, as I said before, it was like very popular, and they added rice flour in it. Now, when I cook it, I add rice flour in it along with the sugar in milk. But in those days, apart from rice flour, they had apple, pear, pineapple, sweet potato, and carrot flour. They would grind them and they would add them, and they will make the firni out of it. Isn't it interesting? Look at the variety that was being used in those days. And of course, another favorite dessert of that time was deep fried sugary batter known as jalebi. Yes, jalebi was also made in those days. And interestingly, this research of mine revealed that much of the Aftar Dastakhan that we have in our houses, that is a tradition of hundreds of years old. People in Mughal era were also enjoying it, and we are also enjoying till today. That shows that these foods were so popular that we have not given up on them. But excess of everything is bad. So it's my humble request, eat whatever you want to eat, but in a moderate manner so that it will not damage your health. And kindly, of course, you know that, but just a small reminder that Ramadan is much more than food. Ramadan is all about cleansing yourself from every perspective, and your ibadat are extremely important in this regard. At the end of my program is Ramzan Mubarak from me to my viewers. Thank you.